So I'm back and just thought I'd do a quick catch up of all the boxing talk that has happened since my last video. Before we start, if you could like, comment and subscribe, that would really help the channel grow. There's a really interesting debate as to whether Jake Paul is having a good or bad impact for boxing. And I want to play devil's advocate a bit and look at the fact that he actually might be doing some good for boxing. The main point to talk about is obviously like he pays his fighters really well. Amanda Serrano, he's had such a positive impact on her career. She wasn't making much money at all before Jake came and gave her all these big fights. And if you asked every boxer on the undercard of any of his fights, you know, if they think Jake Paul's good for boxing, they'll probably say yes, because they're getting paid a lot of money. I guess in an ideal world, the best fighters would get the most views, but a lot of casual fans, they just want drama, right? They want chaos, they want loud talkers, they want arrogance, they want entertainment. Whereas obviously the hardcore boxing fans are more fussed about, you know, what goes on inside the ring. So yeah, there's definitely an argument to say that Jake Paul bringing more eyes onto the sport of boxing is a good thing, getting more people paid, and the strings, like the power this guy has like over everyone is insane. Daniel Dubois called him out. Well, I didn't call him out, but he texted him saying, you know, let's fight. And obviously from a competitive point of view, that makes no sense. You think in terms of a sport, the fairness should be, you know, the second best guy should vote the first best guy. But, you know, Danny Dubois is probably thinking, look how much money there would be for this fight, you know, and that would be what, a minute's work for Daniel Dubois? So, like, you can kind of see where he's coming from, but I just think it's crazy the amount of people that have called him out. Daniel Dubois, Tony Bellew, Andre Ward, Carl Froch. So that leads me on to my next point of discussion. What next for Jake Paul's career? He's got three sort of options, in my opinion. He can keep going down this fighting celebrities route. So that might entail a Conor McGregor, or he can fight older boxers slightly past their prime. So that would be the Carl Froch, the Tony Bellew, the Andre Ward. Or he can try and weave his way into the professional boxing route. Fight a few decent journeymen, and then eventually you want to work your way up to a Vidal Riley, right? He's got a big following on YouTube and he's English title level. Obviously, if you want to get to world title level, you know, these are the type of people you need to beat. But obviously there is problems with all three of these. Celebrity, you know, boxing matches, as we've seen, if he's fighting older people, the fights are boring and you can't keep doing these Mike Tyson events. People are going to want to see you fight competitive fights, people your age, people your size, ideally boxers, right? With the older retired boxers, there's a lot of risk. You know, these guys were world class, a lot of them stay in shape, so it's high risk. There's also low reward because for an American audience, you've got to think about it from their perspective. A lot of them don't know Carl Froch, Tony Bellew. You know, I think Tony Bellew said something at one of the press conferences and no one knew who he was. So that's arguably high risk, low reward. And then if you go down the professional boxing route, you're not going to get any eyes on you fighting these journeymen. You know, I think his numbers for the, was it Ryan Borland fight, I think was very low. Maybe Andre August? Maybe the number was a little bit high because he was the Golden Gloves champion, so that gave him a little bit of clout. But, you know, I think people realised, you know, Jake was above that level. So it's up to him what to decide, really. And then you've got, yeah, Conor McGregor. He's quite big now. If he wants to go down the celebrity fight route, that would make sense. Although, actually, I think from a logical perspective, I don't think that would happen because I think, obviously, Conor's still got a UFC contract. So he's contracted for 2 or 3 more fights, I do believe. And it's very unlikely that he would be allowed to fight, you know, a boxing fight. So I can't see that happening. Canelo, he's a prize fighter. He fights for the money. He doesn't really have anyone to fight, to be honest. Apart from Crawford, but I don't think he wants Crawford, because if he beats him, everyone can say he was too small. If he loses to a guy who is really smaller than him, so it's sort of a lose-lose there. So maybe Jake Paul Canelo makes the most sense. Again, high risk for Jake, right? Canelo's a bit of an animal. He does walk around at about 200 pounds, even though he's a super middleweight. You know, if Canelo wouldn't drop the weight, he'd have even more power behind his shots. So high risk, but if he is serious about wanting to be a world champion, the fight makes sense. Canelo is slightly past his prime. I mean, only slightly, right? Maybe about 80% out of his, usual 100%. So you've got Canelo, Conor McGregor. I think the KSI fight's gone now. I think KSI is too small, and I think Jake Paul's moved past the influencer misfits era. He's, sort of doing his own thing now, fighting huge celebrities. I think the KSI's fight gone, so yeah, Canelo's seeming like the most likely option, but I think he's too in his prime. I think it's too risky. I think he'd want to wait a few years. And obviously Tommy Fury's fighting Darren Till, so the Tommy Fury match is off. But to give Jake credit, he's been a lot more active than Tommy Fury. I think Tommy Fury did have some sort of hand surgery that kept him out for a while, but I don't know, I sort of feel like Jake's a bigger name than Tommy, even if Tommy's a better boxer. And just to touch on the Tommy Fury Darren Till press conference, I mean, that's how you sell a fight, right? I didn't know who Darren Till was, to be honest. I'm a sort of a casual MMA fan. I watch the title fights. I quite like Paddy the Baddy and Tom Aspinall, obviously, because they're British. You can root for them, but I'm not a huge MMA fan. I'm not, watching all the undercard fights or whatever. But, that looks like a decent scrap, Darren Till and Tommy Fury. So, yeah, maybe I'll say Canelo. Makes sense for Jake if he wants to dare to be great. A lot of people want to see him get knocked out, so they'll tune in for that. And he might get some credit, to be honest, just for stepping in the ring with him, even if he does lose the fight. But I think it would be too risky for Jake to take. So, yeah, all in all, I am struggling a little bit. Yeah, I think Conor McGregor would be ideal, but it's just a UFC contract that, it's obviously holding Conor back. And obviously, he's in trial, and I think he's addicted to drugs and alcohol, but that's a whole different conversation. So, yeah, there's not one name that sticks out for me, but I guess we'll have to just wait and see. Does he fight someone who's over the hill? Sort of like a faded journeyman, like the guy Ebenezer Tete that Dillian White's about to fight, someone like that. I mean, not going to do numbers right. So, yeah, it's an interesting conversation, I think. Maybe he's going to hold out for the Canelo fight. But, yeah, I've talked enough about Jake Paul. So, let's move on to the rumours about the February the 22nd card. Eddie Hearn said on the Andy and Ariel show they're trying to get Beterbiev Bivol on that show because they want to get Beterbiev out before Ramadan. I mean, February, it's still a few months away, right? But it does seem kind of soon. But I don't think there's necessarily a Riyadh season-worthy main event. Yeah, obviously you'll have Daniel Dubois, Joseph Parker, which I think could easily be a main event, but Joseph Parker, maybe not, not as big a name as, say, Anthony Joshua. Hamza Shiraz, again, is sort of still on the come-up. So, yeah, maybe they are looking for that Bivol Beterbiev too, to headline the show, because obviously there was a lot of controversy around the first one, so it's going to have eyes on it. I'm not sure if it got some of the casuals involved with it as well, but yeah, that'll be exciting for the February card. I'm trying to think if there's any other boxing news that came out this week. Oh, Derek Chisora and Big Baby Miller, I think, has been confirmed for sometime early next year. I don't like that fight personally. I think Miller's a bit too good for Chisora, to be honest with you. I don't know if that's really a fight you should be taking at your 49th fight, but, the guy's going to do what he wants. So, yeah, that's all the boxing news sort of since my last video. So, yeah, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Comment your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.